The gymnasium was packed. Folding chairs filled the floor. Proud parents sat shoulder to shoulder, and a sea of students in blue and gold caps shifted with excitement. It was Matthew Carter's high school graduation, a day he'd dreamed of, worked toward, and desperately wished one person wouldn't miss. Asterisk his mother. Erica Carter stood quietly in the back of the gym, still wearing her hospital scrubs under a wrinkled coat. She was trying to be invisible, slipping in just minutes before the ceremony began. She had just finished a grueling 12-hour trauma shift and hadn't had time to change. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun, and her eyes betrayed her exhaustion, but she was there. Asterisk, all that mattered to her was seeing her son walk across that stage. As the national anthem faded and the principal began his welcome speech, 2 security guards approached her from the side aisle. One whispered something. Erica shook her head softly, clutching the invitation in her pocket. The second guard, more firm, gestured toward the door. Asterisk, ma'am, one said. Section is reserved for VIP guests and properly dressed attendees. You'll have to leave. Asterisk heads began to turn. Whispers started. Asterisk a nurse in scrubs. At graduation, people stared. Erica's cheeks flushed with shame. She opened her mouth to explain but found herself frozen. Not by fear, but by the weight of years of exhaustion and sacrifices. She had barely made it. Did it really matter what she wore? Please, she said quietly. I'm his mother. Asterisk. The guard shook his head. We were asked to keep this section orderly. If you don't have a pass, you'll have to leave. Asterisk. Erica's hands trembled. Her son's name would be called in minutes. She wasn't hurting anyone. But even as she pleaded, the guards moved in closer, ready to escort her out. Tears welled in her eyes, not for herself, but for the heartbreak she knew it would cause her son if she disappeared from the crowd. Asterisk. What she didn't know, what nobody in that room knew, was that something unforgettable was about to happen. Across the gym, sitting unnoticed in the far corner, 10 broad-shouldered men in plain suits sat with perfect posture. Matthew's uncles, not by blood, but by bond. They were Navy SEALs who had served with Matthew's late father, Lieutenant Commander Ryan Carter. Asterisk. Ryan had died in a mission overseas when Matthew was just 6. In the years that followed, Erica had single-handedly raised her son, working endless, nursing shifts to provide for him. The SEALs had promised Ryan they'd always look after his family, and they had. Asterisk. And tonight, they were there, quiet, watchful, and protective. One of them, Chief Petty Officer James Holloway, noticed the commotion. His keen instincts fired. He leaned over and whispered to the man beside him. Asterisk. Within moments, all 10 stood up in perfect synchronization. Asterisk. They moved with silent force, their presence turning heads immediately. A hush fell over the gym as the guards hesitated, confused by the sudden movement of 10 imposing figures walking across the room. Asterisk. The lead guard took a nervous step back. Chief Holloway walked straight to Erica, stood beside her, and turned. To the crowd, asterisk, this woman, he said, voice calm but commanding, has given more to this country than most people in this room ever will. Asterisk. He looked at the guards. She worked all night saving lives. She raised her son alone after his father gave his life in combat, and now she's being asked to leave because of her uniform? The entire gym fell silent. Asterisk murmurs turned into stunned stillness. The principal at the podium paused, trying to assess what was happening. Erica stood frozen, tears now falling freely, but not from shame, from shock. Asterisk. Another SEAL stepped forward. If she leaves, we all leave. Asterisk. Then another. And if she's not allowed to watch her son graduate, then maybe this ceremony isn't worth attending. Asterisk. The pressure in the room shifted. The weight of their presence was overwhelming. These weren't just men in suits. These were warriors, decorated heroes, and they were standing in defense of one quiet, exhausted mother. The principal quickly took the mic and addressed the room. Ladies and gentlemen, it appears we've made a mistake. Mrs. Carter, please stay exactly where you are. You are more than welcome here. Asterisk, a round of applause broke out, scattered at first. Then building until the whole gym stood clapping, Erica buried her face in her hands. The guards melted away. The SEALs remained standing beside her until the moment Matthew's name was called. Matthew. Ryan Carter. Asterisk cheers erupted as the tall, confident young man strode across the stage. His eyes scanned the crowd, and when they locked on his mother standing between 10 of his father's brothers in arms. He stopped in his tracks. Asterisk tears filled his eyes, saluted her from the stage, and pointed to the sky in memory of his father. Asterisk, the principal, placed the diploma in his hand, whispering something no one else heard. Matthew simply nodded, then walked off the stage, pausing only to embrace the SEALs and, finally, his mother. After the ceremony, as the crowd dispersed and photos were taken, dozens of strangers came up to Erica to thank her. Asterisk, not just for her service, but for reminding everyone what real strength looks like. For showing up, even when she had nothing left to give. For raising a boy who stood tall not just because of his grades, but because of the legacy of love, sacrifice, and honor she had built. In the weeks that followed, the video of that night went viral. Millions watched as 10 SEALs stood to defend a nurse mother. Erica didn't care about the fame, but Matthew did. Asterisk, he carried that moment with him as he left for college, and eventually joined the Navy himself. Asterisk, and every time someone asked him why, he smiled and said, Asterisk, because my parents both wore uniforms and taught me how to serve. Moral of the story? Asterisk, true strength doesn't always wear a cape or a medal. Sometimes it wears scrubs, stands quietly in the back, and never asks for recognition. But when that strength is seen and honored, it changes everything. Asterisk,